Hi, my name is Alicia Turman, and I'll be discussing the vertical and horizontal alignment at the Westin Chattanooga. Currently, there has not been a competitive strategy defined at the Westin, therefore, the HR department will have to incorporate various HR practices that could possibly lead to a competitive strategy. Research shows that strategic HR management, or SHRM, can lead to a competitive advantage, and it's based off of the resource-based view of firms, which describes how the resources a organization possesses can lead to a competitive advantage. One of those resources that can lead to a competitive advantage are human resources, but specifically not how the HR practices themselves lead to the resources, but how or to the competitive advantage, but how those resources are a direct result of the HR practices and its ability to attract those resources. Two facets that are important when talking about strategic HR management are vertical and horizontal alignment. There are two types of vertical alignment. One way alignment, which is the alignment between HR practices and the business strategy itself, which is what will be discussed in a moment. And two-way vertical alignment, which is between the HR practices and the business strategy, as well as the strategic strategy formulation. Regarding the one-way vertical alignment, Camus Gazzola, the worker at the Westin Chattanooga in the HR department, believed that the vertical alignment was poor and attributed that to the fact that the Westin just opened and she has been under a tremendous amount of stress to just staff the organization without actually aligning that staffing to the business strategy. There are four types of horizontal alignment. Each one will be discussed and related to the Westin Chattanooga. There's intra-HR system fit, which is how the HR policies, practices, and procedures align with each other. And Canvas believed that this was high in her organization as all the workers are held to the same standard. They all are going through the same policies, procedures, and things of that nature. Regarding inter-activity, HR activity fit, which is how the different practices themselves, for example, recruiting and training, align with each other. Camus believed this was also fairly low in her organization. For example, during the recruiting and training process, she has had employees who were recruited, selected, and had signed offer letters, showed up for their first day, but did not have training because there was not congruency with those two practices. Next is intra-HR activity fit, which is how the specific components of a HR practice align with each other. For example, in recruiting, how are you going through the resumes, or how are you setting up the interviews and things of that nature. And she believed that this was moderate in her organization because she believed that the Westin rules are fairly black and white as far as how the practices are done, and how each individual going through a practice is treated. And finally, the HR system fit. There was a lot as how alignment is between the actual job groups. For example, bartenders and housekeepers. Are they having the same experience when it comes to the HR practices? And she believed this was moderate to high. She noted that there's a lot of flux in the organization, so it's not that easy to determine. But she did believe that there was consistency with the vision and methodology at the Westin because of the leadership. Regarding suggestions for Camus and the Westin Chattanooga, I would suggest for vertical alignment to hire more HR workers because Camus right now is the only HR worker. By hiring the workers, she would reduce the load on herself and be able to increase the quality of the HR practices and how it aligns to the business strategy as a whole. And then finally, regarding the horizontal alignment, specifically the inter-HR activity alignment, I would suggest creating a schedule for the different HR practices. For example, during the interview process, possibly ask all the candidates a general time frame that they would be free for training. That way, if you do extend that offer you already have information about when they would be available to train and when they would be most open, and then you can schedule that before you have them start their first day.